All right, everybody. So it's kind of early for many people in the other side of the world. So I know many people will probably look at this Amy later. So let's begin with some introductions. Let me cut the elevator music. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Error 44, or also known as Giorgio, your fellow community lead. With me, we have Arash, or my colleague in the marketing team, fellow biz dev person, and overall a Web3 expert, and David, head of production and design at Directive Games, and who's going to be our most knowledgeable person for everything Civitas. And yeah, today we're here to talk about our two most big recent announcements. As you know, we partner up with IMX to bring our future collections on L2 and scale up our Web3 potential with a lot of new features and the possibility coming up with that. And also, if you've been following, we have been on Discord for a bit, you might have seen many of the new gameplay reveals and evolution in our games look and feel. And those are going to be so gameplay and L2 are the two main topics of the day. For today's town hall, we have picked a question that came through different channels, both in the City Council Ask and the general channel, plus some more from the community. Arash already selected many of them, and David is going to tackle them. We're going to try also best to pick additional question at the end of it, but if we're not going to make it in time, we definitely going to get back to you in the public space at a later time. So, for starters, let's begin. So, Arash, David, you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Well, you kind of already introduced us, but hey, everyone. Yeah, I'm David. I'm as Giorgio said, I'm heading up production and design here at Directive, working pretty closely with these guys to make sure that you've got, access to information on our, on our design and our development progress.
Yeah, and I'm Arash. Everyone knows me, I think, here. And yeah, I'm literally pretty active in the community and different communities, and I'm also a business. Usually take care of the biz dev stuff. Happy to jump in.
Okay, let's go ahead and get to it.
Okay, let's do this then. Thanks, Giorgio, for the introduction. And without further ado, we're gonna start the questions. So, David, for the first question, could you please tell the community why we decided to shift from the previous game design?
Well, it's not a shift. We're still laser focused on the same goals. What has changed is how we're building toward those goals. So the core vision is still the same, but our technical approach has evolved, and it's been a big step forward. Here at Directive, two of our most valuable resources are our engineering and our technical arts teams. And it makes sense for us to really lean into those strengths. So this means things like a procedural approach with generative tools that speed up content creation, all within a persistent single shard world design with backend systems that let players make progress even while they're offline. Sounds like a relatively simple thing. It is actually a huge technical challenge, but all of this helps us scale content much faster than before and hit some ambitious targets without ballooning the team. We're also constantly learning from other games, not just in Web3, also learning in the development process itself. So when we look at things like Manor Lords, for example, we're able to find inspiration about how to modernize certain gameplay interactions. So in a lot of ways, we're just improving our execution. We're not changing direction.
Okay, great. So that really makes sense. But let's say we have seen some changes to the look of the game. Why did the art style change?
Well, the art style, the original art style that we had was beautiful, but it was it was just unwieldy. It required a more traditional art pipeline where each asset had to be meticulously created by hand. It took a lot of people. And bear in mind that each structure that we're talking about in the game has a multitude of different levels, tech levels, and eras. And they also produce items with all these different components. Each structure and product variation, they need their own assets. They need 2D iconography. They need custom artwork. So we're talking about a truly massive amount of content here, which was just not scalable with our initial art style. I mean, it would take, if we were building everything by hand, each iteration, like I said, we're talking about one structure that progresses levels, and then it progresses tech levels, and then it progresses through eras. And each of these things, crafting them by hand, was just far too cumbersome and not really sustainable. So we're using a more procedural and generative approach to speed things up, and it makes our pipeline much more flexible. It lets us iterate faster. It lets us produce more variation, and it lets us expand the game world without sacrificing quality or without burning out the team.
Great. So does that mean, sorry, does that mean we're using AI?
Absolutely. Don't get me wrong, we're not just generating some random stuff with a few clumsy prompts and plonking it into the game. We are carefully training our model with art that we've created in-house and automating the rapid expansion and proliferation of that art across multiple subjects and assets. Again, like the sheer amount of content that we're talking about with this game, it's a little mind-boggling. So complementing our art development pipeline with clever use of AI is essential for a team of our size and a game of this scope.
Great. Thanks for answering my question, David. So how polished would you say the current version of the game is? The visuals that we see right now are what we can expect from the finished game?
Well, we aren't even in alpha yet. What we've done is we've nailed down a foundation and an approach that we are very pleased with because it is lightweight and it is modular and it is flexible. So with this, we can achieve really high quality results while maintaining a pretty ambitious scope. And we'll continue to iterate on the overall game aesthetics in addition to the detailed development of individual aspects of the game. So you can absolutely expect the game to be more beautiful as development progresses, as we start to leverage, all sorts of cool effects and lighting and, and the individual assets themselves. It's only going to get more beautiful as time progresses.
Nice. Can't wait to see that. Since Civitas is a kind of a game in which players have to construct buildings, how long does it take for buildings and other structures to be built and or upgraded?
Well, it varies, right? It could be minutes, it could be hours, it could be days, depending upon the type, the level, the complexity of the building that you're creating or the building that you're upgrading. In the early stages of the game, production time will be fast. It'll be much quicker. We want players to get up and running with the foundation of their land tile, and we want to remove friction from the player's ability to achieve that quickly. We want you to get settled in. We want you to get your land tile developed, and we want you to get in quickly. But you can be sure that those times are going to expand as the player progresses. We'll also be tuning the game in phases. So in early playtests, you'll expect those times to be short across the board, as the playtest durations themselves will be time boxed, right? If we only give, if we have a playtest that is in a week of duration, we're not going to have production times for buildings that that take that take multiple days. But we will be doing a massive tuning pass before we roll out a proper beta, and many of those construction times will increase significantly as you dig deeper and deeper into the game. And don't get me wrong, it's going to take a lot of time to build the truly massive, like the spectacular structures that we have planned. You're going to have to invest some time and a lot of resources into the construction of those. But early in the game, we want you to get in quickly. We want you to be able to, get your land tile developed to a point where you really start to feel ownership over it. And then we will ramp up the amount of investment required. And that's resources, all the resources, including time, in order to really build the spectacular stuff.
That's great. Thank you, David. And now I'd like to discuss the L2 on which Civitas is going to be built. So we currently announced our partnership with IMX. So in general, could you please tell us why we decided to migrate Civitas to Immutable?
Yeah, well, our relationship with IMX is just, I mean, it's just hugely advantageous for us. And the expertise that they leverage, it really complements the game that we're building with Civitas. We know that our collaboration is going to ensure that Civitas can be the best game that it can possibly be. And partnering with IMX will get Civitas into the hands of as many players as possible. When you think about the function of a publisher, right? The main kind of contribution there is that they help a developer get their game into the hands of players at large numbers of players that you might not be able to just as a developer alone. And Web3 is also, I mean, it's constantly evolving. So having a great publishing partner, it helps you navigate a pretty volatile landscape. And Immutable does all sorts of, well, they provide exceptional publisher level support to all of these simultaneous endeavors that we are running, and the aspirations that we have for Civitas, and that support on the marketing level, the production, strategy, and obviously their tech, right? They've got this robust ecosystem. They've got fast gasless transactions, passport, wallet linking. I mean, there's all sorts of advantages for us that working with Immutable, and it really lines up with what we're trying to build with Civitas. So of all the publishing partners out there, we knew that Immutable was the right fit for this project. And we really couldn't be happier about our partnership.
Nice. Thank you, David. So speaking of Immutable and L2, there are some assets like Fragments and Chosen that are already minted on L1. What's the plan for migrating them to L2?
Well, we're going to do our best to keep it as simple as possible. Fragments specifically will be migrating to L2, and we'll take a snapshot from player wallets. We'll recreate their L1 fragments on the L2 chain, and we will burn those L1 fragments. The motivation behind this is largely because the amount of fragments that people have been collecting, it's a pretty big number for some of these folks out here, and so the individual gas prices for moving those things around is pretty high. So we want to move those over to L2, just to make sure that it is, it's fast and gasless, easy for players to do. The founders chosen are going to stay on L1, but new chosen will be minted on L2. And like I said, the reason why we're moving the fragments, not the chosen, is because the costs involved in moving thousands of fragments would be exorbitant. But for the chosen, given their value and their relatively smaller quantities, it's easier for us to keep those on L1. But like I said, the new chosen will definitely be minted on L2.
But all Chosen will be playable in the game.
Oh, absolutely. All chosen will be playable in the game. You'll still have the same functionality across, whether it's a founder's chosen, it's a legendary chosen, whether it's on L1, it's L2. All the chosen will have the same functionality. You'll still be able to, they'll still augment aspects of your gameplay, and they'll still be fully controllable, and you'll be able to run around your environment.
Sounds great.
Interactive stuff. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, David. That sounds very straightforward enough, I would say. But what about City? For those who don't know, City is the name of the token that will launch for Civitas. Could you please tell us about its potential use cases and what we are looking into for considerations?
Yeah. Well, City is evolving. And we're taking our time to get it right. We've been watching how other projects use tokens, especially as in-game currencies. And honestly, we haven't seen that model deliver the kind of long-term value that we're looking for. City needs to reflect the actual value of the project, which it may not be able to accurately do if we use it as an in-game currency. And we want holders and we want investors to benefit from the success of the game alongside us. At the same time, we're very aware of how market forces can impact tokens, sometimes in a way that hurts the project more than helps it. So we're trying to divorce this, token from use as an in-game currency and avoid some of the common pitfalls that we've seen in Web3 gaming. Instead, City is going to play a much bigger role in governance. It'll carry extra weight in key decisions, especially around player-driven systems and world-shaping choices, but it's not going to be a currency that we're using to buy stuff in the game. Since the start, we've always said that we want to give something extra to players who invest more, whether that's time or money, but we're also being really deliberate about keeping things balanced. We don't want any single player or group to dominate the game or the society just because they bought more tokens, but we definitely want to, like I've said in the past, we want to give you a little extra sauce, and this is always really important. So governance is going to play a heavy role. We're also actively exploring options like staking because when done right, we think that it's a smart way to add value and reward commitment without breaking the game's internal economy.
Nice. Thanks, David. So, well, now we have seen runes around. How do runes factor in this equation? I'm asking this since the announcement of IMX and everyone being able to link their wallets, rune claiming has gone live as well. Could you tell us about runes and how people can claim them?
Yeah, well, runes are the in-game soft currency, right? So that's the currency that you're going to use to make purchases from NPCs or from other players via the auction house. Right now, you can currently claim runes in small quantities by connecting your wallet on our website, playcivitas.io, and performing a daily check-in. And as a soft currency, we need to inject some runes into the economy to get the ball moving. But then you'll be able to use those to make trades and and to purchase items.
Thanks. So the next question would be something that people are actually interested in. It's regarding the clarification of the promised airdrop to the chosen holders. Could you please tell us about the distinction between the rune and city airdrops?
Well, I mean, like I said, runes and city are completely separate. So you can already go in and collect runes right now, and you'll be able to use those in game. So start stockpiling. But city, we are still committed to airdropping city to chosen holders in the future, but this is very separate from runes, and it has to come obviously after a TGE, which is still a ways away.
Yep. There you go, guys. That's the question everyone's been asking.
You're just like, are we getting our city airdrop? Yes, you will. You will get your city airdrop. It's going to happen after the TGE, but and it has nothing to do with the runes. We're keeping them very separate.
Okay, thanks for clarification, David.
Sure.
Now, I want to ask the shortest question ever. When playtest? 3 words.
All right. Well, we understand everyone is very keen, and we are getting there, but we're not ready for a public playtest yet. We're still cooking this, and I don't have a defined date for you. What I can tell you is that the chosen holders will be the first group offered an opportunity to playtest the game. And once we have a couple of playtests with chosen holders, we will open up playtests for everyone. But we're not there yet, and as soon as we get there, we'll let you know.
Keep your choices close, then you get to join the playtest.
Mm.
Okay. You want to say something? Oh, okay. No,
Yeah, me? Yeah. Go
no,
ahead.
okay. So my next question is regarding the white paper. Could you please tell us about the white paper and the roadmap, and if we are looking into updating them soon?
Updating them, absolutely. But like I said, we're still in the process of kind of refining and evolving our plans for the use of city and how it's going to, what kind of role it's going to play in the game. And so, yeah, once we've locked that down for everyone, we'll be able to share some more details. And it's not ready yet, but it is in the works. Again, the big thing that we want to define is a clear path for city, the application of it. So it doesn't make sense for us to really be updating the white paper publicly until we've finished cooking that one.
Okay, so that will get updated then. And
It'll definitely get updated, yes, but it'll get updated when we have like some clear answers to some questions that we're still working through.
Yep, that makes sense. Another frequently asked question for some time has been about the company's funding. How does it look right now, and are you actively pursuing additional funding?
Yes, of course. I think it would be hard to find a game developer, especially in Web3, that isn't out there looking for more funding in some form. That being said, we've been very proactive about managing our runway, and we keep a close eye on market conditions, like how fast we're building and what it is costing us. So we've made a lot of progress optimizing our development pipeline and automating parts of it, which has let us cut our costs by over 30%. So we're running a lot leaner now, but our runway is still in a good place. On that, we've already shared a playable version of the game with our investors, and the conversations that we're having is, well, they are very positive. But yes, raising more capital is always part of the plan.
Yep. Yeah, that's a question that we've answered. Now, everyone would be happy. So, are you considering additional acceleration for gaming companies connected with Web3? Platforms like, for example, Helica.io or companies alike?
Well, we're not currently running an accelerator program ourselves, but we're always watching the broader Web3 gaming ecosystem, including tools like Helica. If we find tech that aligns with what we're building or something that helps us improve our players' experience, we are open to collaboration or integration down the line. But like I said, we're not currently running an accelerator program ourselves. Raj, you still there, buddy?
Oh, sorry, I was mic muted. Yeah, yeah. There's been a question that we've been asked from many fronts, which is actually a thing in the Web3 space. Is Directive Games planning to hold a P2A campaign or pray to airdrop campaign for Civitas?
P2A, no. There won't be a P2A, or at least at this point, I can say that it is very unlikely that we will run a P2A in Civitas. And I know this might be a little bit controversial, but we're looking at creating a long-term and sustainable project here. Across Web3 in general, you see a lot, if not most, developers moving away from the P2A model for the same reasons. P2As rapidly boost player acquisition in the short term while the P2A is running, but they don't really lead to long-term player retention. It attracts a lot of value extractors that exit the game as soon as they get their token airdrop, and that is not what we're looking for in Civitas. We are chasing long-term viability through continuous player engagement and growth. We want to attract players that add value, not extract it and disappear. So right now, we don't have any plans for P2A. I'm not ever ruling out the possibility. I don't know. I mean, Web3, it's an evolving landscape. Things change all the time. Sometimes you see something where people make a move and it changes your perspective on how something can work. But right now, we think that the P2A model is just not delivering the kind of results that we're looking for, at least not for a game like Civitas. So yeah, right now the answer is no.
Okay, thanks for clarifying. And for my last question, are we planning to launch Civitas on mobile as well as PC at the same time?
Supporting, well, I mean, it's a little tricky because supporting a dedicated mobile client version, it really kneecaps our ability to achieve a high level of visual fidelity on the PC, right? It's like when you're designing a game and building a game for multiple platforms, you always need to identify what the lowest spec platform is and make sure that everything that you want to do runs on that. So, given that, if we allow people to play it on mobile devices, some of those mobile devices, they're going to be pretty low end, and it's just going to prevent us from developing a version of the game on the PC that is going to have, like I said, that level of visual fidelity that we're looking for. We want the world of Civitas to be beautiful, and this means leveraging and capitalizing upon our strengths as a developer. And we think that the PC is the best format for that. Now, we absolutely want players to be able to access their game via a mobile device, but we are currently leaning towards companion app solutions rather than a dedicated mobile version of the game. Players will still be able to interact with their land tile, maintain aspects of their land's development, maybe monitor some buildings, check in on trades, and we will continue to consider mobile-specific gameplay features as well. but the PC is where the full game is going to live for sure.
Thanks for answering my questions, David.
Okay. Got any more?
Yeah, so that was the selection made by Arash for everybody. Yeah, we got some comments in the meantime, and particularly I think people want a bit more clarification on the playtest, because you mentioned there's no public playtest around the corner, but maybe you want to give us a bit more details on Chosen.
You mean like chosen holder playtests?
Chosen holders, yes.
Okay. Look, guys, I really want to avoid nailing down a very specific date here because I don't want to put a playtest out there for everyone until it is ready. But like I said, chosen holders will be the first group that we show the game to. Well, and that's not true. Investors were the first group that we sent a playable version to, and they have been given a playable version. But there's still a little bit of massaging that we need to do before we're ready to get the chosen holders in there, and so that's something that we're looking at in the relatively near future. Whereas full public play tests, especially those of longer duration, I mean that's coming quite a bit later.
So there is also a question about the immutable play leaderboard. I can tackle it myself. Yeah, for now, as you know, all our current collection are on L1 only. So for now, the integration with IMX is still at the beginning. But yeah, we are aware of immutable play, and we are talking with them to eventually Civitas in there. But that's for the future. There's a new question from Dimitri, I believe.
Hey, Dimitri.
Arash, you already did that? I read that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I was ready. Again, I was mic mute. Yeah. So Dimitri is asking if the point about P2A is actually caused with the TMA P2A, like that we said that there's not going to be any P2A for Civitas, or if it's just a general experience.
Well, I mean, we definitely learn from experience, but it isn't only our experience with TMA. This is something, like I said, we are always monitoring the entire Web3 landscape. I mean, it's a very critical part of us doing our jobs effectively. Is like paying attention to what other companies are doing, the successes that they're having, the pitfalls that they've encountered. So, did it play a factor? Yeah, sure, absolutely. But was that the sole reason why we decided to move away? No, it wasn't. Like I said, we're taking a much more holistic kind of view of the Web3 gaming space, and we just haven't seen the results, like the positive results that we're looking for from P2As across the board.
Yep, there you go, Dimitri. So, yeah, there are other questions. I'm just trying to phrase them. Okay.
So I see several questions from Vyacheslav. Yeah, broadly speaking, as you know, we are notoriously not the best at 60 days, and therefore we kind of dropped out from committing to days when we are not 100% sure about that. As David mentioned, for the playtest, we want to announce dates once we have them, and that applies for other aspects of the game as well. And can we share a monthly development recap update about progress? 100%. As you know, since like our intention, especially with communication, is being more present in the community. That's why we are here with this panel after such a long time, and we announced the IMX partnership. So we definitely plan to be more communicative and provide updates as they come out. But yes, that's also why we'd rather not shoot ourselves in the foot and create false expectations by committing to dates before we have certainty on that. But yeah, you can expect more rapid cadence. As per the state of the team, as David mentioned earlier during this AMA, scaling down is a part of just optimizing any game process, any game production, and just simple matter of we had a rapid explosion at the beginning. We got most of the tools and the game production needed for the stage, and yeah, that's pretty much just.
Well, I mean, I can interject a bit here, right? So
Yes.
a lot of this has to do with scope, and we look at the scope, and we have to balance our scope with our runway, and so we have to make decisions that balance these two sometimes disparate vectors into something that unifies into like one clear direction. And so, yeah, we looked at the scope. We had to make some modifications to the way that we were building the game, which is why we were talking about that stuff at the beginning of the AMA. It is very much about us identifying the scope of the game and balancing that against our runway and making sure that we can deliver these things. And so we've made modifications to the way that we are building, and we've made modifications to the scope of both the project and the team to ensure that things are balanced and that it can ultimately result in a positive outcome. And so so yeah, we're constantly balancing these things, and this takes time, and it pushes us to address some of the ways that we are constructing things so that we can make sure that we deliver what we hope to deliver. And sometimes that pushes timelines out a little bit, but it doesn't delete those objectives. We're still, like I said, laser focused on delivering those to everyone. But yeah, it has pushed out a couple of dates.
And also, just to wrap that question, when it comes to the who's responsible for what, I would say that most of the leadership positions are still occupied by the same people. So none of the decision makers that behind the design, and behind the whole concept of Civitas as a game, as a Web3 project are still in place. But yeah.
Sorry, Georgia. There's a question that Heliar is asking a question, but he couldn't chat in the channel's chat room, so he's asking in general. David is asking if the current room claiming is going to be reset, or people can go ahead and claim them.
The current room claiming. Okay, so like I said, runes, soft currency, we want to inject them into the economy so that we can facilitate trade. Obviously, the accumulation of runes is going to give you benefits initially during those first playtests. I can't guarantee that we're going to maintain a consistent stream of runes like throughout the entire time, because you're going to be spending them in playtests that are time boxed, and so we will always, like, the good thing about us divorcing City from the in-game economy is that it's very easy for us to play with these numbers, right? If it's like, okay, people stockpile runes, they have a playtest, and then they burn a lot, they use a lot of those runes to buy stuff that helps them during the playtest, and then at the end, like, oh, now they have fewer runes. We can very easily provide additional runes to people, based on their progress during playtests. We can give rune bonuses. Like, we can inject runes into the economy very easily in order to make sure that it is always healthy and sustainable in a way that we can't with City. So, the runes that you're accumulating right now, you'll be able to use in the first playtest. If you have additional runes after that, you'll be able to maybe use them you will be able to use them in subsequent playtests. If you're spending a lot of runes during playtests that are time boxed, we can look at this and we can identify, like, okay, player stockpiles are depleted by this. We can provide some opportunities for additional rune injection into the economy. We can always dial up the amount of runes that you're getting from performing a daily check-in. And so yeah, it's going to be a little bit it's going to be a little bit flexible this year as we have different play tests with these things. So I wouldn't focus so much more on just stockpiling as big a number as possible. It's like we want you to engage with the economy during the play tests so that we can have a comprehensive understanding of how these systems work and where we need to tune them. And be assured that if you're collecting runes now, we will make sure that we are providing additional compensation for you down the road in the form of soft currency in the game that you will be able to, when we get to public beta, that you'll be able to hit the ground running. We always want to make sure that we are rewarding people that have been with us the longest. And so, go ahead and claim those runes now. Don't be shy to spend them when the playtest rolls out. And, we'll make sure that that you've got plenty to go when the actual game launches.
Yep. So the rune claiming goes live the moment you connect and then link your wallet. So when you link it, then you can see the rune claiming.
Yep.
Okie. Yeah, it's just interesting that some people couldn't type in that chat. So regarding fragments, we have a question. Is the fragment like the plan with the fragment is still the same that we discussed in the podcast? Their use case in the game?
It is still evolving. The core plan is absolutely still the same. You will collect fragments. You will be able to combine fragments into crystals, and then but what we have done is we've evolved the use case for those crystals. So, and this is kind of a tiered approach, right? We've always wanted you to be able to use crystals to augment the kind of the capabilities of your land tile. You'll be able to buff certain aspects of your land tile, but we are looking at ways of creating a lot more variety and also rarity tiers with crystals by introducing RNG into the crystal creation process. And then we're looking at it's not only land tile augmentation, but it is also structural augmentation. And then maybe down the road, something that we haven't started yet, but something that we're definitely considering is product augmentation. Like you can plug your crystal into your land tile, makes your land tile buffed. You plug crystals into individual structures, it makes those structures buffed. And then you can produce items, and then if you're able to produce advanced items, being able to augment and buff those advanced items with crystals adds a lot of variety. And so when we're talking about RNG, the kinds of things that we want to do during the crystal creation process is that you'll be able to combine fragments and then produce crystals with varied results. Like I said, there's the rarity tiers. Some of them are going to have smaller buffs. Some of them are going to have large buffs. Some of them are going to buff multiple aspects. Like it could be, multiple aspects of the functionality. And so then being able to not only plug a single crystal into a structure, but maybe a combination of crystals into a structure could really temporarily supercharge the kinds of things that structure is producing. And then the whole point of this is that it allows us to then create myriad different items that we have, like you can capitalize upon and then sell those things in the auction house. And so you're producing a custom sword. It's got 2 crystals plugged into it that was produced by a building that had a couple of crystals plugged into it, and all of these buffs would stack to create something that is truly supercharged. We're going to balance that with it's not going to last forever. And that's one of the things that if we want to create these kind of, you're going to have to take a chance on some of these things, right? It's like after a while, crystals, especially the ones plugged into like structure or maybe even to a weapon, they're going to break. And so the amount of time that you'll be able to spend producing these super powerful items in a structure will be limited. However, you will still have a chance to combine fragments and create something that is truly super powered and give you, not only gameplay opportunity, but also opportunities to profit on the market.
Thanks, David.
Sure.
So there you guys, that was the fragments.
There's just a question from Young Z that I wanted to take all. So how do you try to plan to attract Web2 audience? So for starters, like Civitas is and always been the idea behind Civitas always been for a free-to-play product with a Web3 layer on top of it. So as David anticipated, there's going to be like Web3 elements that can coexist together with a Web2 audience. I mean, for starters, the game is going to be listed on Epic Game Store, potentially Steam down the line, and yeah, more broadly, people are going to be able to play the base game without the need for owning assets. But if they want to partake in Web3 powered elements like the DAO and other things like that, obviously there's going to be that's going to be more for the Web3 audience. Additionally, the way the gameplay has been enhanced in the last year is also for appeasing for a more broad audience, especially in the strategy genre. David, you wanted to add something?
Well, yeah, sure. I think one of the big things that we're doing here by separating city from the in-game economy is that it allows us to bring in Web 2 players, right? And so they can use a variety of different currencies to actually purchase runes, if they want to interact with it. And that's very much like in line with the Web 2 stuff. We want to make sure that the game is there for them to play without necessarily needing to engage with Web 3 mechanics, and but we still want to make sure that we are providing all of those things to our Web 3 community. And we think that there's a lot to be gained by easing Web 2 players into the Web 3 ecosystem, and we can do that, I think, quite gracefully. And one of the things that will make that much easier is the separation from the in-game soft currency and the token itself. So then it's like, okay, I'm going in, I'm buying some stuff on the auction house. Maybe I want to spend $3 and buy some runes in order to do that. Sure, they'll be able to do that. And then when they start digging into the city and the governance, they can see that, oh, okay, the impact that actually investing in city has on the way that the government is structured and the way that the governance kind of runs throughout the game. It's like they can dip their toes into it gradually and slowly get more into it. And I think that's something that is, I think that's healthy. I think that's healthy for us as a product, but it's also healthy for Web3 in general. It's a lot of these things, like we need to dissolve this barrier where people are like, oh, that's Web3, I'm not interested in it, right? It's like we want people to see an amazing game, and then, oh, there's an extra layer of stuff going on here behind the scenes that I can actually get invested in, as my interest in the game evolves. And so, yeah, I think that separation from runes and city is one of those very important parts of making sure that we have an avenue for Web 2 players to get invested into the world of Civitas. Any more questions, guys?
Death Robot is asking if runes are going to be used in alpha, and and if there are any advantages.
Yes, sir. Well, advantages. I'm not sure what you mean by advantages, but I mean, the game economy is it is the core of Civitas. So yes, having a functional game economy, having the auction house, the ability to trade items, these are features that we have already built. They are already working. We can create buy orders, we can create sell orders, we can monitor listings, we can partially fulfill listings. So say I create a buy order, I want to buy whatever 1,000 platinum swords, and like that order can be fulfilled partially by, it's like, well, I've got 10 platinum swords, and oh, he's giving a good per unit price, like I can partially fulfill that order. We've already got pretty robust functionality for the auction house based around, again, buy orders and sell orders, ability to monitor existing transactions and modify them. So all that stuff is already up and working, and runes are integral to that. So they will be used for the alpha. We will see like how that gameplay kind of how that plays out for us, and we'll use those playtests as an opportunity to tune and augment that system.
Great, thanks for answering, David.
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks. So unless there is any last minute, I think it's gonna be up. Oh, there is actually one specific on gameplay. If there's still time, we'll see.
Yeah, I do have meetings that I need to get to, but yeah, let's go ahead. I can take one more gameplay question for sure.
Okay, last question, everybody. So Lauxian, I most likely misspelled that. Sorry for that. Is this game played on single large map by all the players, or do the players distribute themselves across different dungeons?
Oh, it is a single shard world, right? Everybody is playing in the same world. Now, the game world itself is divided up into individual cities, and players will have one or multiple land tiles within a given city. It's possible that they could have land tiles in different cities as well, but this is one of the big technical kind of hurdles that we overcame, right? Is like maintaining this single shard universe where everybody is playing in the same world at the same time, and we can actually zoom over and check out your progress even when you're offline. Like this, it sounds pretty simple. It is it's freaking complicated, man. And it was like it twisted us into pretzels trying to figure out elegant solutions to these. But yes, like it is a cornerstone of Civitas. Everybody in the same world at the same time, cities interacting with other cities, players within a city interacting with each other, and yeah, all at the same time, all simultaneous, single shard.
All right, that's a wrap for today. So, as a reminder, this AMA has been recorded. It's going to be published on our channels at a later time, possibly tomorrow. Thank you everyone for joining in. If there is more questions that you guys would like to ask, as always, you can ping me or Arash in the general channel, and we do our best to get back to you. And yeah, we are Civitas is back. We have many further updates to share with you on top of the IMX reveal. Keep following us and expect more to come in the coming weeks. So thanks again, everyone. It's been me, Arash, and David. Have a good one.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. And thanks, Giorgio and Arash. Cheers, guys.